adoptive son uninvited us to his wedding and chose his disrespectful parents. So, we cancelled our payments and told him to ask for money from his people because we are done with him. Our adoptive son is 24. He's black, and we're not. About 19 years ago, my husband and I were driving on a highway, back from a short vacation. When along a particularly long stretch of road, we spotted a little boy just sitting by the side of the road. As I mentioned, there was nothing around for miles and no cars close to where the boy was, so we decided to stop and see if everything was okay. When we got closer to the boy, let's call him Jason, it was effortless to see he was dirty and malnourished since the only thing he had on was some diapers. He was so small it didn't look like he could be older than 3, later found out he was 5. We asked him why he was alone, and he said, "Mommy and Daddy put him here and told him to wait." There was no cell signal, so we did the sensible thing and brought him back to town to the nearest police station. To make a long story short, CPS was called. We discovered his parents were some DRHGs that were on the run from a felony. The only other relative Jason had was his grandmother, who was very mentally ill and couldn't take care of him, and we felt terrible. He went into foster care soon after, but we felt terrible for the kid and kept in touch with his caseworker. I had, still do, an extremely well-paying job at the time. I could afford a decent lifestyle for a small family, so after a few months of discussions between ourselves, the caseworker, and some bureaucracy, we formally adopted Jason. Now, onto the situation. About 3 years ago, Jason's parents were released from prison on parole. They contacted him not long after in hopes of reconnecting. Before that, they'd sent him a few odd letters but nothing substantial. At first, he was hesitant to talk to them, but he ended up caving and meeting them for lunch one day. I'll admit that some of me was jealous and apprehensive of what could happen. But I could see that it was something that my son wanted to do, so for his sake, I swallowed those and supported him through it. It wasn't long, about 3 months, that he started pulling away from us. At first, I chalked it up to him being excited to talk to his bio parents after so long. Talk about what had been going on in his life, spend some time with them, etc. It started to bother me when he'd cancel plans with us last minute because mom had an emergency or dad needs me to help him with something today or whatever other excuse he could come up with. He used to come to our house at least once a week and call daily, but now we were lucky if he even came by that month. Again, I thought that was just temporary, that he was just excited, and soon enough, he'd start spending some time with us again. We were overjoyed when he invited us over to dinner one night. It was supposed to be a family gathering, us and his bio parents and girlfriend. I wasn't exactly keen on meeting the people who had left my son for dead on the side of the road, but I decided to give them the benefit of the doubt, thinking maybe they'd atoned and changed. Besides, he's our son, and we love him. We had to try, at least. To say the diner was a disaster is an understatement. His bio mom was extremely rude to me, my husband, and the entire night, making passive-aggressive, homophobic, and racist remarks every chance she got. His father was much the same. It all came to a head when she straight up called us the F word and threw a glass at my husband. A screaming match followed, and we left soon after. The next day, Jason apologized profusely and promised they'd never do something like that again. I told him neither I nor my husband wanted to have anything to do with them and would appreciate it if he understood that. He seemed to, but continued to pull away the next few months. And that leads to what happened last week. Jason proposed to his girlfriend about 9 months back and has been preparing for the wedding since. Of course, we were overjoyed for him. But a few months went by, and no invitation came. Jason would say they hadn't been sent out yet and changed the subject whenever we asked. Last week, my husband saw a Twitter post from one of Jason's friends, his groomsman, that went a few weeks back with the invitation in his hands. We confronted Jason about it the next time he came over, only for him to drop the bomb on us, saying that we hadn't been invited. We asked why, and he said his parents didn't want us there and wouldn't come if we did. I was effing furious. I asked him how he could choose those pieces of trash over us. Why were they so important? What did we do to deserve this kind of treatment? His answer? They understand me better. They're my people. My husband was crying, asking how he could do it. I've only been outraged a few times, and this moment managed to top all of them. I threw him out immediately and then told him never to return. That he wasn't our son anymore. I spent the rest of the day hugging my husband and trying to calm him down. The next day I canceled everything we'd paid for the wedding, which was necessary, even the ones we couldn't get a refund on. Of course, Jason had the gall to call and scream at me, asking how I could do that to him. Where would he find replacements for a wedding that was supposed to happen only a few months from now? I told him I didn't care and said, maybe you should ask those 2 leeches you call parents for help. 19 years. 19 effing years of my goddamn life spent raising and loving a kid that I considered my son, only to be treated like garbage. Giving blood, sweat, and tears so he would have a good life. All the love we can give is what we get as a reward.